I was 12 years old, seventh grade, new school, prestigious school, the kind of school where everyone seemed to know the rules of a game I'd never played before. I was a nerdy kid. I wore basmam on my forehead, the sacred ash that marks a Malayali morning. I spoke English. I'd always spoken English, but it was marked with an accent that was shaped by my childhood, when Malayalam was the language of everything that mattered: home, friendship, laughter, and even argument. In my very first day, in my very first class, the teacher asked me to introduce myself. I stood up, I said my name, and then the teacher asked me what I like to do. I said I love going to the film. The entire class erupted. The entire class erupted. Not a polite chuckle. A full 30-person explosion of laughter. The film kid, someone shouted. And just like that, I had a label. A brand burnt into me before I'd even unpacked my school bag. That laughter, it was a map. And what it told me was simple. You do not belong here, not as you are. So I made a vow: never again. The erasure did not happen all at once. It was a ritual, daily and deliberate. Every morning, my grandmother would press the basam onto my forehead. And every morning, before entering the school gates, I would take the back of my hand and wipe it off, smudge it across my pants, leave a faint grey stain on the fabric. That small grey mark, that was the shape of an identity I was killing each day, each morning at a time. My grandfather and I used to have a routine. Every morning on the way to school, we would listen to the Malayalam radio station together. Old filmy songs, the announcer's warm, rolling voice, and that static, just somehow made it feel like home. I absolutely loved it. But I asked him to turn it off. I asked him, could we listen to something else? He looked at me, surprised, confused, and a little disappointed, and he quietly reached over to the dial. Thursday nights were sacred. Every week, my parents and I would go to the cinema to watch new Malayalam releases. It was a ritual. It was our thing. I started saying no. I found myself at home, watching the shows that my friends would like, the music they were listening to. And I liked it. I don't want to tell you guys that I did not like it or I was faking it. I genuinely did. But I was letting it replace something, not add to it. There is a difference. I became a student of fitting in. I studied it. I practiced it. I was obsessed with it. And slowly, it started working. By the time I was in the ninth grade, I had done it. No one laughed at my accent anymore. I knew all the shows. I knew the right music. And I knew every single reference. I was, by every external measure, successful. And here's the funny thing. I did not think that I was erasing anything. My friends were Malayali too. They'd done the same thing. None of us brought our culture into those hallways. None of us spoke our language at school. So I looked around and I thought, this is just how it is. This is what growing up looks like. But I did not realize the value of what I was losing. Fast forward to university. I made new friends who were Malayali. I made new friends who were Malayali, but they were not the kind of Malayali that I chose to leave behind. They were cool, they were funny, and they just had an air of confidence about them. One of them would switch languages mid sentence, from perfect English to Malayalam and back again, like it was the most natural thing in the world, like it was nothing. I genuinely could not understand it. We were sitting around one day when something came up in conversation, where the natural response was just in that, the Malayalam word for what? A throwaway word. A word that every Malayali child learns before they learn anything else. I stumbled over it. It caught my throat like a foreign sound. That's when it clicked in my head. In the moment, I got defensive immediately. They looked at me, just confused, not with any cruelty. But in the moment, that's when I realized that I had run so hard from the one thing that I had lost my own mother tongue. Not just the words, the feeling of it, the way it lived inside of me, the way it was a part of me. All I could see in that one moment was the fact that the perfect, polished version of me that I had so meticulously created, he did not exist. He was just someone who had run so hard from the one thing that he ran straight past himself. I went home and I sat with that. Not dramatically. I didn't I didn't cry, neither did I call anyone. But for the first time ever, I sat with the actual weight of whatever I was throwing away slowly, a day at a time. It was not anger that I felt, it was grief. And then I slowly started going back. I put on the Malayalam songs from my childhood, the ones that I knew the words of by heart without ever trying. And I let it do to me what it used to do to me when I was a kid. Just enter through my ears and settle in some quiet, wordless part of my soul. A particular favorite of mine came on, and something happened that I did not fully expect. I started singing along, softly at first, but fully, but then fully, singing along to the songs that are almost forgotten. The melodies were still there, just filed away somewhere I'd stopped looking. I was in the car with my mom the other day, and that song came on. I started singing. She looked at me. She went quiet for a second, and then she slowly turned the volume up. She did not say anything. She did not have to. A few days later, I went and talked to my grandparents. I went to their house. I started talking with my grandmother about nothing important, about what the neighbors were doing, about what she'd cooked the other day, about what she'd seen on TV yesterday. But it was all in Malayalam. No apology, no hesitation, no reaching for a simpler word. It was like I had been holding my breath for years and I'd finally let it go. It felt like coming home. Going beyond does not mean burning down where you came from. It does not mean wiping the ash off your forehead or turning off the radio that your grandfather loves or somehow believing that the people that raised you are too small for the person you're becoming. That 12-year-old who made that vow, he was not wrong for what he did. He was he was scared and he was smart and he did what he had to do to fit in. I understand him. I have compassion for him. But somewhere along the line, survival became a permanent address. And I wonder sometimes how many of us are staying at that address. How many of us have made ourselves easier, left something at the door to make ourselves seem more presentable. I now live what I can describe as a seamless playlist. One track is everything I picked up along the way, and the other are the songs that I grew up hearing in every corner of the house. There is no apology, there is no jarring transition, just one continuous, and honest sound. And that to me is what beyond looks like. So I want to say to you that the door is still open for anyone, not just for the 12-year-old that made that wow, but for anyone who's ever made themselves smaller trying to fit in somewhere. The door is still open. Go back and get yourself. Bring yourself all the way in. Thank you.